Hello, Mr. Stack.
All right, hear me?
Yep.
Okay. David,
Yeah.
could you say a couple words? You were kind of, your volume was below where I was. Do you know how I can make you a little louder?
I'm not sure. Can you hear me okay right now?
Um, you're real low to me. I'll go down and turn on. I'll check my speaker. Okay, I think that's where it is. Yeah. Okay.
Can you guys hear me
Okay.
or see me?
Yeah, we can see you and hear you, Vita.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I can hear
I'm
now.
totally lost on this screen. I become more incompetent with this kind of stuff as I age.
Well, it doesn't get any easier.
Yeah. Anyway, how are you guys?
Yep.
Pretty good.
Good. Do we need anybody to take notes or me?
No, I just sent you a note. David usually just posts the entire video
Yeah.
of the meeting.
Yeah.
I'll put it on our YouTube channel and then send out the link once it's all uploaded.
There we go.
All right.
So you're being recorded, but I think you already know that.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah. I'll try to be careful what I say.
Hi, everyone. Am I coming through?
Yep, sounds good.
It's good. Hello, Daniel.
Hi, David.
Everyone.
Okay, how come I'm seeing only a screen with my face on it?
Well, you may need to change the views. And do you have a Mac or are you on a PC?
I'm on a Mac.
Usually up in the top right, there's a view button
Okay.
and you need to
Zoom.
change it to
Something.
gallery view, probably.
I do not see anything that says view.
Uh-oh.
On the left, there's FaceTime, edit, video, window, and help. On the right, it's support and English. And it says that Daniel Justison joined as a guest. Winston is on. Brian Dunn. But the only picture I'm seeing is me.
We got to figure out how to change your view. If you,
Oh, no, there you are.
is it highlighting whoever is talking?
Oh, I see view. I see view. Okay. So view says speaker.
Uh-oh.
Hide self view. There. No, I'm still here. That's okay. But I'm seeing Dave and I'm seeing you, David.
Okay, well, that's better than one, right?
Yeah, it's better than just me. It's 6.
I was asked to chair this meeting, I guess. So, do we want to wait a little bit longer for some more people? Or it looks like Jackie Their boss is here.
is here.
Jackie's in, yep. And Jackie's here to talk about the Met Council stuff, I think.
Yes,
And Mary Finch is here. Hi, Mary. Nice to
I
see you.
didn't, yeah, I
Nice
see
to
her.
see you too.
Hello,
Hi.
We have Jim Vole. Hi, Jim. Thanks for coming.
Hello.
Maybe should we start off with some introductions and then by the time we're done, we're probably ready to kick it off. Does that sound good?
sounds wonderful.
Mr. Stack, do you want to start?
I'm Dave Sack. I've been asked to chair the meeting tonight. I'm on the ROC with the Friends of Bassett Creek.
Fred?
Hi, I'm Fred Olson. I'm an alternate from the Friends of Bassett Creek.
Daniel?
Hi, I'm the president of Udapil's Brewing Company. I also serve on the board of the Harrison Neighborhood Association as an at-large member.
Winston?
Evening, Winston Albus, Bryn Mawr.
Dustin?
Hello, my name is Dustin Ruff. I am the current president at the Harrison Neighborhood Association.
Colleen?
Hi, Colleen Belmont. I'm a delegate of the Bryn Mawr Neighborhood Association.
Jim?
Hi, I'm Jim Vole. I work for the city of Minneapolis and CPED in the planning division.
And then Jackie?
Hi, everybody. Sorry about the delay before. I had some kiddos I had to move away from. But I am with the city of Minneapolis and I'm working with Brian Dunn to give an update on the sewer project that we had talked to you guys about before. So Brian, if you want to go next.
Brian, introduce yourself.
I'm Brian Dunn with TKDA, working with the Met Council and Jackie on the sewer project.
Okay, Michael? Michael Martins? Okay, Kim Donat?
Hi, I'm sorry, I just joined late. What do you want me, just an
We're just introducing ourselves.
Yep, I'm Kim Donay. I'm one of the owners of the Leaf Building in Harrison.
Excuse me, which building?
The Leaf Building.
It's the Leaf office building that
The Leaf Office Building.
where the Leaf dry cleaning facility used to be, right next to our space.
Is that the buildings you have, David?
Yeah, Kim's in
I'm one of David's partners on the building.
Oh, okay.
A really
All right.
small, tiny piece. I'm very inconsequential, but you know, I do love to know what's going on in the neighborhood, so I wanted to join you all.
So Kim has also been our general counsel of Wellington, but she's moving into a new role. And so we'll just merely be a partner and owner in the property that we have there.
And I'm Vita Ditter, Bryn Mawr. And David is,
Mary Finch, introduce yourself.
now it's your turn.
No, I have not introduced myself yet.
Oh,
I don't know
okay.
if there's other people besides me, but that haven't gone. But yeah, I'm Mary Finch. I work for Hennepin County's Environment and Energy Department. I have come to some of the ROC meetings on and off over the past 20 years, but it's been a handful of years since I've been to one of your meetings, so it's nice to see folks again. We do fund several of the projects in the area historically through our Environmental Response Grant Fund. So I just wanted to hear kind of the latest redevelopment going on in the area and hear an update on that. So just listening in. Thanks for letting me join everyone.
Michael, are you on now? Do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Michael Martins, longtime Bryn Mawr representative on the ROC.
Okay. Well, I want to thank everybody for attending, and I want to thank David Wellington for hosting this meeting. And I think we'll start off with Jackie. Is it Nerbas? Is that how you pronounce your name?
Yep, near bass, like close to a fish.
Okay, okay, I'll let you and your colleagues take over for a while.
All right, thanks, Dave. And then it looks like we also, Ryan Piner just jumped on the call and
Yeah,
he's
I
the
just saw the
engineer.
name.
Yeah, so Ryan is actually going to give the update because he is most up to date. Brian, would you be able to share your screen or would you like me to?
Yeah, I cannot share. So if someone else could do that, that would be great.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you. So I'll just give a brief, overview of the project, in case we have new people here, or you just want to remember what we're doing. So I'm from Met Council, and we are doing sewer improvements in the Harrison neighborhood. Next slide, please. There's aging infrastructure here. It needs to be replaced. Welcome to go into detail after this if you have questions, but yeah, that's the basis of this, is aging infrastructure that needs to be replaced. So we're doing a sewer project with that. Will include new sewer and a new lift station. Next slide. And the existing sewer is on Curry and DuPont. So Curry, to redo the Curry lift station, or that section will require a lift station, so we need to pump it. And the DuPont section, we can just replace the pipe. So those will be two separate projects coming up, and we're mainly here to give an update on the Curry side, the lift station. So next slide. Originally we looked in this area to see where we could put a lift station. We've looked at all the available land off of Fremont in green in the upper right there. That was available. So we ended up purchasing that lot probably almost a year ago. Next slide. And then through the process, it was asked that we investigate and look at other properties that may not be available, but would be more suitable for the neighborhood. So the one in the dark blue there is what we have been working on for the last 6 to 9 months. Next slide, please. And oops, that's the one we purchased. These slides are a little bit out of order, sorry. Next slide. That's the original one. And so the ones that we looked at, there are 3 parcels there. Just to make it simple, I'm calling them 1, 2, and 3. The one that's off of parcel 1, which is off of 2nd and Gerard, that is the one we've made offers to all of them originally. The one, parcel 1, was accepted our offer. So we have purchased parcel 1, and we will continue to work with 2 and 3, but no, as of right now, they are not agreeable to sell. But as of right now, we are looking now to build this lift station on parcel 1. So we've met the next steps, or we've met with Minneapolis, so we need a conditional use permit. We have applied for that, and they've accepted. We've gone through the next steps. They've approved that. So then after that, we go to a public hearings for our facility plan to get input from the neighborhood. So this is part of the reason why we're here. Thank you for having us, because we'd like to hear the input from this association. And so if you have any comments tonight or whatever, that's kind of where we are. Next slide. Yeah, and just to give you an overview, I have 2 shots, renderings of what this property will look like when we're done. It's going to be, I mean, there's no building going on it. So all the equipment for the most part, except for like electrical panel and a control panel, those will be above ground, but that lot will be an open lot and landscaped. Next slide. Yeah, that's looking off of Girard and looking at those apartments that have been built about a year or two ago. Next slide. Yep, there. So that's brief. Keeping this really brief. And so I don't know. Please ask away questions. And I know I went over this very quickly, but I want to be respectful of your time. But yeah, what else? What questions do you have? What can I answer about this process?
Would it be possible to circulate that slide deck after this meeting?
Sure.
And
Maybe-
kind of
I
to
want-
jump,
I was
go
gonna,
ahead, Vita.
I want to thank all of you guys that you listened to us the last time when we said, please don't put it on Glenwood. So
Yes.
as I look at this, I'm really pleased that you're off Glenwood, because on
Yes.
Glenwood, it didn't fit the master plan.
We're happy. It's been a process, but yeah, I mean, it was not a good spot anywhere. But yeah, we're doing what we can and getting the input and definitely listening to all the neighborhood groups and the residents and the businesses. We want to make this it's not gonna, no one wants this. We understand that, but it has to be done. So we'll do what we can to make this a little bit better at least.
Well, as a person who creates sewage, I'm really happy it's happening. And then really appreciate Vita's words about listening to the neighborhood, that you've moved the site. My only follow-up question would be lovely pictures, lots of flowers, gardens. Who would do that ongoing maintenance year over year over year?
That's going to be when this project is done, after we complete it, this site and all the facilities gets turned over to Minneapolis. So I'm sure they would probably turn it over to Minneapolis Parks and Rec maybe to, maintain this, but I'm not 100% sure, but it would be Minneapolis owned and they would be responsible to maintain it.
Yeah.
Would these properties be open?
Can you say that again? Sorry.
Would these properties be open to for the members of the public to walk on, walk their dogs on or have a picnic on or something?
Minneapolis has put if this was a Met Council property, we wouldn't allow that. But Minneapolis, as far as I know, they have lift stations like this in parks and other areas. I mean, they wouldn't broadcast it as a park and put it on, the park, their website as a park, but I don't think they would go out of their way to discourage people from, being there, but they would definitely wouldn't broadcast it as a park, but I think it could be used.
There won't be like in this chain link fence around it or anything like that.
Correct. There would not be, there's not plans right now. There was for the apartment building request there will be a wood fence. I think it may show up in the rendering, but with that apartment building, they wanted like a wood fence for a noise buffer and just kind of screening, but that would be close to the building, not blocking off. That'd be like on the property line between the building and the property. But there's no plans to encase it in with a chain link fence or anything like that.
Is some kind of noise?
There will be noise because there is a generator that will be only used, and they may exercise it once a month just to make sure it works, and obviously during storms. But if they need it, the generator power goes out. But if there's a big storm, I think a lot of people wouldn't notice the generator going if there's a huge storm also going and the power's out. But just regular maintenance once a month, and you shouldn't really hear the pumps the most you'd hear, I think, would be the generators. And there could be some, I mean, as a lift station with sewer, so at times during the right weather conditions, there could be some smells. But there will be odor controls on this, so hopefully that is to a minimum.
Really like what in this, it looks like there's rain gardens along there, and I would like to, it'd be nice if the lots could be kind of self-contained for not producing any runoff. So that would be good to have rain gardens.
Yes. Yep.
Could you
I
put the
can't
first
guarantee that.
slide with the map up again, please?
Got the map you want?
The sewer map with the existing sewers.
The first one were the map of Curry, and yeah, that one. Thank you.
Yeah. Can I answer a question about this map? This is the existing Met Council sewers. The dark blue lines are the sewers, the existing sewer.
Okay. My only question is, at some point, unknown date, the city of Minneapolis is going to shrink the size of the impound lot. So the part of the impound lot that's west of Van White Boulevard is going to be open for development. And I was just wanted to double check that the sewer line is being sized for that future development.
Yes, yes, it is appropriately sized with the Minneapolis master plan.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, Ryan, this is Dustin from H&A. I appreciate you guys being able to work with that spot. I know that we talked to you when you came to our offices a month or two ago. Is it contingent for you guys to finish that project if you're not successful getting those other 2 lots?
No, we just needed parcel 1. Construction will be harder. It may, it's going to probably cost a little bit more, but we can build it just on that lot.
Okay.
It'll be a tight fit, and construction will be, like I said, a little bit harder, but we can do it.
But you're still kind of in the negotiation process, hoping to get those other 2 lots?
Yes.
Okay.
I want to
Great project. Thank you for presenting.
Yeah, I want to just reiterate my appreciation for Met Council listening to the feedback and altering their plans, even though they had vested dollars in a different location. This is, I think, a pretty big win from my perspective for the community and the neighborhood to move it to this location. So I just want to say thank you very much for listening and modifying your plans.
You're welcome. I appreciate the comment. We don't get a lot of positive feedback at Met Council, so I appreciate that.
Ryan, I have a quick question.
Yes.
The land that you did buy on Glenwood, what are you going to do with that?
Since our lot is so small, we will use that for a staging area during construction, stockpiling for whatever we need, I think.
Okay.
And then we will sell it as soon as it's not needed. So we haven't gone through, design yet, or, we're just barely even starting thinking about design. So we haven't really figured out staging or how much land, what we need and what the city will allow us to work off of Second and Girard. But the plan is eventually, soon we will sell it when not needed.
Follow-up question.
I would just jump in real quick. This is Jim with the city. I think I've mentioned this to you, Ryan, but just so everybody here knows, we have talked with Met Council staff, Ryan included, and they have been very responsive and listened to us. That, when it comes time to sell that, we'd like to work with them. I don't think we're necessarily going to buy it, but we'd like to work with them on making sure it's sold
in a way that meets our planning goals. You know, and I think they've been willing to work with us on that. So like we don't have an agreement or a commitment or anything, but they have continued to work with us in good faith on everything here.
Yeah, we will continue to work with Minneapolis on, yeah, that sale and what we can do and can't do.
What is the high-level schedule of this project?
I think we're preparing now, once we get final CUP, the conditional use permit, we will have a facility plan hearing, so that'll take a couple months to go through that. So that puts us, you know, somewhere near the end of the summer. And if depending what comments and where we go from that, I think we can start our design by the end of the year, and it'll probably take a year to go through design and getting ready to advertise. So I would think 2025 is still doing plans, and then 2026 would be construction.
And kind of jumping on to that, one of the other reasons that we're at this meeting now is so that you guys can look at the progress that we've made up until this point. And then when we have the public hearing, there's an opportunity for all of you to publicly submit your comments and the things that you would like to see on record. So we're kind of trying to plant the seeds now so that later when we invite you to the public hearing, there's more interest, you know what's going on. And since you are key voices in the community, you can also encourage other people to come to the hearing and participate in this project, because it's pretty cool that because your voices were heard, you know, a few months ago, changes have actually been made. And historically, people think, well, there's something that has to be done and my voice doesn't matter, so there's no point in engaging that. And we're trying to rewrite that narrative. So this is kind of one stage in a 4 or 5 year process, but just to encourage you all that we're really grateful for the opportunity to present to you, and then rely on you to pass that out to other members in your community as well.
Good.
And Jackie, if I could just jump in real quick, can you just let everybody, because I mean, I know this can get confusing for people. We did have a public hearing at the city to give the land use approval, the conditional use permit. But just to be clear to people what this approval is that you're talking about, just one more time.
Yes, so as there was the hearing for the land use approval, now we will be moving on to a slightly more detailed public hearing for the specifics of the lift station implementation approval. So for every city project that happens, there's many stages of approval, but most often people who live in the area don't feel that they're engaged in that. And so this is just, you will be receiving communication as we narrow down a timeline and a date for that. Right now, there isn't a date set, but you will get advance notice that you're invited to participate in such meetings.
Thank you.
Comments?
Thanks again for presenting to us and listening to us.
Great,
Yeah.
thank you. We appreciate the opportunity. And if you'd like us, just let us know when we can come back. Probably not till we have more design details, but we want to keep your group engaged and other groups engaged. So as we, get through the facility plan, we'd love to meet and get more input. So thank you.
So we'll move on to the next agenda item, I guess. Looks like the 155 Irving Avenue North property has come up for sale, and see what kind of discussion there is on that. I guess that to start it off, I'll say that I think that property is kind of critical for a pathway, a branch of the Loose Line Trail coming in from the Udapills area down through Bassett Creek Park and underneath Cedar Lake Road. And it would probably be most desirable to go along the creek part and very possibly across the southern edge of this property. And I don't know how that could be negotiated with a new owner, but I guess that's a question that I'd like to ask. And anybody have any more questions or comments on this?
Who currently owns the land?
If there's a name in the county property, is it Hanusek or something like that?
Yeah, it's Richard, the estate of Richard Hanasek. So the way I understand it, because we've been watching this closely, is that there are two different families that were associated over a long history with Pioneer Paper, which is the paper recycler business that has been operating on this property for a long time. And the Hanasek family owns the land underneath the primary plant where the paper recycler has been operating and been leasing that land at 155 Irving to Pioneer Industries or Pioneer Paper for like 50 years. And the family that owns Pioneer Paper is the Chevolius family, who the patriarch is James or Jimmy Chevolius. And he ran Pioneer Paper, I think, until a couple of years ago when he passed away. And I think that the patriarch of the Hanasek family also passed away kind of in the same time frame. And so my understanding is that the 155 Irving property, which is owned by the Hanasek family, is for sale, as well as the property adjacent, or not adjacent, but across the street and to the north of the railroad tracks on the west side of Irving, which is owned by the Chevolius family, is also for sale, but with a different brokerage team. So I'm going to pull up a map so that I get to stop talking and things become more clear. Just a second. Okay, we're getting closer. Can everybody see this?
Yes.
All right. So zooming out just a little bit. So Cedar Lake Road, the creek, Utah Pills Brewing right up here. Going in. So this is the 155 Irving site that's highlighted in blue here. And that is owned by the estate of Richard Hanasek, I believe. And then to the east across Irving, this property here is owned by the Chevolius, the estate of James Chevolius. And the estate of James Chevolius also owns this parking lot north of the railroad, the 10,000 square foot warehouse right here, and the rest of that parking lot. And then Kim and myself and Steve, my dad, own all of the property to the north on that block. And then we own what is now the Ernestine apartment building, where Carl Eller used to own property. He is now a partner with us in that project. And so we are neighbors to the north of both of these different holdings. So Dave, you took a tour down at 155 Irving recently, is that right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, actually 2 tours. And,
okay.
I walked along there and yeah, it looks like that it would be really nice to have a trail coming down the rail line there. And how that things has to be worked out somehow as far as financing and negotiating that.
Yeah, so the dynamic is that the industrial market has kind of been historically very hot the last 4 or 5 years. It's been probably the strongest performing asset class in commercial real estate. And that means low vacancies and high rent growth, and acquisition prices have gone up steeply for similar like-kind property over the last 4 or 5 years. And so that tightness or that constriction in opportunities means that there are a lot of users, businesses that are looking for space that are saying, hey, this could be a really good location for them. And then there's, dirtbags like me that are, kind of with a gleam in their eye, thinking about the long-term vitality of the valley and try not to break the bank with an acquisition in a very hot market. And so we've submitted an offer, and we're not sure if we're going to be able to get to the closing table, but we threw our hat in the ring for the 155 Irving property. And so if we are victorious, then we would absolutely want to talk to the park board and the county and the Met Council and the city and anybody who wants to listen to us about the future master planning of the valley and ways to clean up the creek and widen the creek and create floodplain storage and bike trails connecting to the loose line extension. But we can't really say that we're going to get that opportunity. But we're going to try our hardest. So hopefully we're successful. And we'll let
Is there anything ROC can do to support your application or your offer? Like sending in notes saying we really like your company and the vision you have for what could be?
I don't know. I mean, that would be very nice. I don't know that I don't know that sways the sellers. Honestly.
Okay.
So just to jump in here, and obviously as Woodfield's Brewing, we would obviously love to have the loose line extension converted over to the entire rail line up through the area where we occupy and past the old Fruin Mill. I did get a chance to participate with Dave on his tour on Monday, and we did end up talking to somebody at the property who peeked his head over, and I don't know who he was or what his role was there, but he indicated that his understanding was that the property had been sold to the city. I have no other information about that, but in terms of looking at what happens there, it seems like the stakeholders, in terms of the trail, in terms of the creek, really need to get together, with the park board, looking at what their master plan is for their parks and the master plan that came out of the ROC in the past and now is up to the city to implement. It doesn't seem clear as to who's really running the horse or who's organizing people to get together, or if it's a lot of us just running off in different directions. As I've tried to work with the park board, and it seems like there's no one entity that's taking lead on the trail. But I did notice some surprised faces about the city offer, so don't know the validity of it, but I did want to get that there.
The city is not buying the property unless something's happening that I'm not knowing about. I talked with the director about this property, so there's the park board. I don't know if the park board has closed some deal or not, but unless something has happened in the last 3 days since I talked with Eric Hansen, we're not buying the property. So I don't know where that rumor came from. I will
I can
say
tell you
on
where the rumor
coordination-
came from. I just started it because I was talking to somebody who
No, I mean, I think
said it.
Dave emailed me about it earlier today too. So I mean, maybe you were at the same tour where you heard it, but I think, you know, and then so there's a couple things that are going on, right? So we've got the trail too, and I know the park board has been working to try and buy the rail corridor, and that's stalled. And then we had the county do a convening where they had talked about starting a community works, you know, to have somebody coordinate and lead all of this. And we, as the city, not myself, but our leadership, sent in a letter saying we would be supportive of that and working on that. And I really we haven't heard anything back on that. So I do think if we're talking about a public trail, the park board is the appropriate entity to take the lead on that. Does that mean that the county and the watershed and the city don't have parts in that? You know, maybe we do, but I mean, if it was for redevelopment, then maybe CPED would be the one to take the lead on it. But I talked with our bosses, and the city is aware of it. My leadership is aware of it, and and I told them I was coming to this meeting, and they said, you know, the thing to let people know is that if it's a public access to the park, which is in our plans, and we all support, we believe the park board should take a lead on it. And I contacted park board staff and told them about this meeting, and they said that they would, you know, that they are aware of it and they would get back to me. And they have not gotten back to me in time for this meeting. So they may, I'm not going to say what they have going one way or another, because I don't know. But I do want you to know that park board leadership and city leadership and the Bassett Creek watershed people all seem to be aware of it. I'm not sure if the county staff is aware of it or not, but I think what you can do is, in a more formalized way than all the emails that have been coming along, you know, write a letter to those entities. Again, I think people are aware of it, and I'm not sure it's a great real estate strategy for everybody to run around and say, I want it. But, you know, I do think that, I mean, that's what I know, right? So I'm not sitting in the mayor's office. I'm not a big shot, but from talking to our leadership and the park board leadership, they both said that they're aware of it, and that the appropriate entity to look at buying this for parkland is the park, to take the lead, you know, and coordinating that as the park board. So they may be somebody you want to have to come to your next meeting. I mean, something may be decided by then, one way or another. David may own it. Who knows, you know?
That'd be good. I hope that I can come to the next meeting and have good news.
And I'm not privy to anything there either. I was just being silly.
David, out of curiosity, if you were to purchase that property, would you be thinking of like allowing the trail to go along the north side of the creek, or would you rather have it bridge over the creek farther to the west and not be in that property that much and try to get onto the public property on the other side of the creek? And I guess I don't know how hard it would be to deal with the public agencies that own that property as far as getting the trail run down that side of the creek on the south side. I don't know, maybe Jim knows a little bit about that.
Well, I think David could probably speak better to the difficulty of it, because he really knows a lot of that stuff. But I would say the goal for the city, and I think park board staff, although I don't necessarily have anything formal, we have a formal plan that says it, because we would want access on either side of the creek. You know, it's easier for us to say that on the south side, right? Because we own, the public works owns that property.
Right.
But David, you probably have more to add about you know, part of it is it's an industrial site, and if somebody buys it, they have non-conforming rights, and if they continue to use it as an industrial site and as non-conforming rights, and they don't come in for permits or money or whatever, you know, what we can ask of people is a little bit different than if somebody buys it and wants to redevelop it, and then they're asking for dollars from us for cleanup and affordable housing or loans or whatever, and going through site plan review. Then, you know, we typically can work with people to design a site plan we still can't take property without compensation, but we can work with people to, and developers are usually willing to work with us on something like that because it's an amenity, right? So I would never say it's easy, but I mean, if you have a person redeveloping the site, it's I think going to be easier than somebody who's just buying it and doesn't want to do anything.
Yeah, I mean, we're buying it on a speculative basis. And, everything that I've ever heard from the park board and the city is that they want to be able to reclaim shoreland to have like 30 to 50 feet of shoreland as the public realm. And I think that we would be buying that property and try to make that happen through some sort of a disposition or easement or something like that. There's some pinch points on the site. So like a 30 to 50 foot setback on the north side of the creek comes into the property to a level that might impact some access. And so we would probably need to negotiate with some regard with tying to that access or be able to maintain that access to the site, given that there's only one access point in and out of that site right now. I think there's also, if we're collectively successful in prying the land away from the railroad and turning that into, public good, there's maybe a way to get the trail kind of pretty firmly established on the creek in this part of the creek. And then maybe there's like a land swap that, if we were to buy the property from the Hanasek family, that we would be able to acquire some of that railroad land and swap that land for, less buildable land from our perspective that would be right on the creek. So I think there's a lot of options, but we're pretty flexible because we see the amenity of additional investment from the park board and other public sector agencies is a really important piece of trying to tie the master plan together and delivering, high quality infrastructure and improvements for a community that does not get those investments as frequently as folks on the south side. And so there's kind of an equity issue here, and just long term, we want to have that connective tissue that isn't just on the streets, but also the trails and the water, kind of east and west through the site and through the valley and the community.
If I'm not mistaken, Elizabeth Schaefer is the District 4 Park Commissioner.
Mm-hmm.
And she is a very active, and both listener and doer. And then Meg Forney has been involved, she's in at large, has been involved with us over the years. And so maybe for the next ROC meeting, we should invite both of them and have, if the land hasn't been sold in the meantime, and have a long discussion about various options on what to do on that piece of land and the adjacent piece of land.
And also, we should be asking them about the purchase of the Canadian Pacific Kansas City Southern right-of-way from Theodore Wirth Parkway all the way down to Van White Boulevard, because that's been on the park board's table probably well over 10 years. And as far as I know, nothing is even close to happening on that regard. And when Elizabeth first took office, she basically didn't know anything about the purchase of the Canadian Pacific right-of-way. And when it was at a lunch with Lisa, when she was first elected, Lisa actually took the lead in talking about it. And somebody, either on ROC or another group really needs to be pushing the park board to get this purchase of the Canadian Pacific right-of-way done so we can get this loose line moving forward.
It's exceedingly difficult to get the railroad to pay attention. The one strategy that my esteemed general counsel found was most effective when we were trying to buy the property to the east of the remaining section is by suing them. And I suggested that to Adam Arvidsson at the park board, just drop a lawsuit on them and then your file will get to the top of the heap. And I don't think he's followed through on that approach, but that would be one strategy, is to try to find a way to litigate to get them to at least respond to an email.
Can I ask what the grounds of the suit were against them, or do you not want to mention
Oh
that?
no, it's fine. We were successful. Kim, do you want to tell them how we sued him to the closing table and won?
Well, I think the railroad had other matters to deal with and decided that they just would provide. We had entered a purchase and sales agreement with them, and they had declined to perform, and so we sued them for performance, and they had not followed. They hadn't followed Minnesota state statutes, so they just decided it was easier to just sell to us, since that's what they had planned on doing in the first place. So it's not often. If you ever have a friend that goes to law school, that the first adage you learn is that the railroad always wins. So it was a one-time strategy that worked out. But they generally.
Good job.
Hey, David, this is Dustin at H&A. Do you have any kind of idea on when they are hoping to sell or, choose a buyer?
Soon. Yeah, my sense is that the estate is trying to wrap things up and they want to get the property sold. So I think it's going to be in the next, a trade would likely happen in the next 3 to 6 months, but they will select a buyer, I think, within the next couple of weeks.
Do we know how many other offers there are on the table for them?
I know of at least one other.
You hopeful against them?
I am. I'm optimistic.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Uh, 155 property. Any more questions or comments?
Oh, just gonna throw out, I was looking through old emails here when I first contacted with Elizabeth from the park board, and she said the lead on that was really being taken by a nonprofit group.
Trust public land.
And we did meet after that exchange of emails, and the gentleman we spoke to was, yeah, we're kind of just lost in limbo without anybody taking the lead on this. We're ready to participate, but there's an absence of urgency.
Who is this individual, and can we invite them to ROC so that they can see that there is a group that is willing to negotiate or work on their behalf?
I think the issue was, is there somebody with money?
Oh.
Like the park board or the city or the county or the whatever, that was, willing to make it worthwhile for the nonprofit to spend any time dealing with the railroad. So I think that's kind of everybody's looking at everybody else, say, hey, who's going to actually do? They're willing to facilitate as a nonprofit, but they're not willing to spend a whole bunch of their limited time and energy on it without somebody in the government, as I speak that broadly, actually saying they want to do something, which would require dollars. So I don't want to drag him into it because he's really in a spot that they're a facilitator, not a doer.
my impression is that the park board is interested in buying it if they can actually get an agreement with the railroad on a purchase price. But the railroad has not responded to their emails or letters. But I think David's idea of some type of lawsuit to get their attention might be necessary.
You know,
The
Michael, I kind of intrigued by the idea of this lawsuit thing, but somebody has to pay the attorneys.
Yeah.
So again, somebody has to take the lead on it to make this a priority. And we did not have trouble. I had to put a group together to purchase the property here by the mill and where Wooded Hills is located. We did not have trouble actually getting a conversation with the railroad at the time. So they seemed willing to talk. Now there's been a merger and they've been taken over. I don't know if that office is even still in Minneapolis, but at the time, that was 2 years ago, you were able to get in front of them. And again, David and Kim, was it? They have more information probably about how you interact with the railroad, since as far as I know, you're the only people who have successfully gotten to have standing by having a contract to then complain about non-performance.
Well, I guess this will be an ongoing saga, and hopefully something will happen here, and we'll maybe at the next meeting we'll find something more out. So moving on, maybe to the next item on the agenda. I guess somebody had wanted an update on.
Dave, your audio is cutting out a little bit. Can you say that again?
Sorry about that. The next item on the agenda is just an update on the Carl Eller project. Did anybody have any insight on that?
Yeah.
David does.
Sure
Okay.
do. Okay. So this is, can you guys see my screen?
yes,
This is what the Carl Eller site looked like, I don't know, 2 years ago, something like that. So Curry is the street on the north side of the block, and then this is Irving right here. And this is that warehouse that the Chevalius family owns for Pioneer Paper. So it's another shot of that. And
David, this picture, I'm sorry to interrupt for a minute. When Pioneer Paper goes, all of these trucks will be gone, will they not?
that's right. And they're moving by the end of May.
Well done.
Uh-oh. My screen is frozen. There we go. Can you guys see this? Okay. This is what now Curry Commons has been renamed Ernestine. And this was about a month ago. This is what it looks like now. It's 187 units. It's a low-income housing tax credit project. So it'll be affordable for at least 40 years. And we got our certificate of occupancy from the city 2 weeks ago, and we started moving tenants into the building last Saturday. So like 4 days ago.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And we've got a lot of activity in the building right now. We have, I think, 40 or 50 people going through the application stages. And there's a lot of steps to getting people applied and then income qualified and get their file built so that they pass the tax credit underwriting process later in the year for us. But we should be able to get between 40 and 50 families or individuals moved into the building by the end of April. And then we're hoping to get the building full by the end of the summer. We're pretty happy about it. I'm gonna.
How are you getting your tenants? Who's doing the screening?
Well, it's a lot of marketing. So there's been a lot of direct marketing. We have our property manager and assistant property manager are both north side residents, or they grew up on the north side. One of them lives on James Avenue, several blocks north of the site, and they've been doing direct marketing for the last 5 or 6 months with different neighborhood groups and faith-based organizations and community organizations on the north side in particular. And then we've done some blasts, and we're up on a variety of different tax credit websites and affordable housing websites. And then we have several, I think 40 project-based voucher units that are being populated by folks through the county or the public housings program, and then several from the county's program as well. And so we're kind of working through those lists. And then we'll go kind of more broadly with our marketing to the general public through advertising on the internet, probably towards the middle to the latter part of the summer if we're having a hard time getting interest. But so far the interest has been very strong. We're going to have a grand opening celebration in June. I think the date is June 13th in the afternoon. And I will circulate an invite to everybody on the ROC listserv to hopefully come and celebrate with us. I toured the property last Friday for the first time in like a week and a half, and all of the artwork that we had commissioned for the property has been installed or was in the process of being installed. And it's a bunch of artists, many of them from the north side, that have kind of different commissions throughout the building, which look really cool. And Juxtaposition was a part of the Roger Cummings from Juxtaposition. Is a couple of pieces that are really interesting and just bring the building to life. And Carl Eller he's a partner in the project, so he stayed in as an owner after he sold the land into the development partnership. And he was in the studio yesterday with Seitu Jones, who's the artist that has been kind of overseeing all of the artwork that's going in. And they were throwing pots together in a ceramic studio for future installation in the building. So it's just a really fun project to work on because there's like so many pieces of it, and it's very creative. So I'm very proud of it. It's a beautiful building. It was really well built, and we didn't have any significant major issues building it, which is good because it was a very difficult site, as Mary Finch knows quite well. And we're just happy that we were able to get through construction and kind of the pre-development work and relatively unscathed, and now we get to celebrate moving people in.
David, what's the story behind the name Ernestine?
That's a good story. So we frequently hire for our housing projects, we hire a third party, like a marketing brand person, to help us name buildings because we don't name buildings well. And this guy, Will Gunderson, he did a bunch of research on Carl, and we were kind of guiding him that we were guiding the consultant that we didn't want it to be too closely tied to Carl's football career because it's a little limiting maybe with regard to Carl's impact on the north side and his community. And we wanted it to be about something a little bit bigger than that. And Will's first name, he provided 10, but his top choice was Ernestine, which is Carl's mom's name. And Carl had a very deep and complicated relationship with his mom. But they were very good friends, and she was kind of a paragon of bright and lightness, particularly in South Minneapolis, I think in the Sabathani church community, where she worked for a long time in the preschool and kindergarten, and was very well known and loved. And so it was kind of a shot in the dark to see whether or not that name resonated, and it did 100%. And so it was not a long naming exercise for us. We knew exactly what it was right away. So that's where the name came from.
What will be the range of rents for the building, David?
The rents are set between 30 and 60% of AMI. And so for a studio or a one bedroom, kind of in that 50 or 60% world, that's somewhere between $850 or $900 to like about 11 or 1200. And then for a 3-bedroom, we have 3 bedrooms. I think those rents can reach up into like the 1800 range. I think we have 45 units that are set at 30% AMI, and then kind of a mix between 50 and 60 for the balance of the units.
Thank you.
Looks like the last item that I have is the Cedar Lake Road Bridge. And see, anybody want to comment on that? If not, I'll just say that for one thing, there will be nothing done to the bridge that's over the creek and over the abandoned railroad tracks that we want for, that we would like to have the trail come on. And so that bridge is separate from the bridge that's going to be worked on, completely separate. And that's, I think that's the most important thing that I wanted to find out about it. And I don't know if anybody else has any other comments on that project.
I missed the meeting, but did they finalize the timing on it, or are they still discussing that? Does anyone know?
This is Mackenzie Erickson. They've presented to the Harrison Neighborhood Association and the Bryn Mawr Neighborhood Association, and then they had an engagement session scheduled at the Bryn Mawr Church that was during that blizzard a couple weeks ago, and then it was rescheduled to just this last Thursday on the 11th, which was unfortunately during the Bryn Mawr fundraiser. So I assume there'll be more community engagement. I saw the presentations at both of the board meetings, and I think what they were looking for at that engagement session at the church, I don't know how well it was attended, but was just feedback on the railing, which is going to be somewhat artistic. It has to be 10 feet right where it goes over the tracks. So that's kind of a new, a new regulation. So they're just trying to make it look decent. I know Dustin saw the presentation to Harrison, but I think the one, if he wants to add anything, but the one other thing I'll say is I'm pretty sure they're targeting summer of 2027, getting it done in that season. But they are trying to be shovel ready if funding comes through sooner, summer of 25. So it's going to be the way it is for a while. And again, to what David was saying, or excuse me, Dave, it is just the southern bridge. It's just the bridge on the Bryn Mawr side. The northern bridge has a lot more life in it. So
still, it will be closed entirely, right? For the
summer of whatever summer it ends up being.
And hopefully that aligns with the completion of the Southwest Light Rail.
Yeah, who knows? I mean,
trails.
I don't think,
I mean,
yeah,
could they
yeah,
finish one before starting the other? That would be my preference. but-
yeah, well, Bryn Mawr and Harrison just continue to kind of, that's the pro and the con of having a light rail line come in is we're a village within a city, and which means there aren't many roads in and out, but also means when a light rail goes in, a lot of those roads in and out are compromised. So yeah. Glenwood's done. And actually they said that the Glenwood Bridge was a good example of how high the railing will be. It wasn't, I don't think the Glenwood Bridge railing is very artistic, but you can go over there and get a sense of what a shorter railing will be, kind of on the two ends of the bridge, and then the height that's required over the actual tracks.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to add other than that. I don't really remember the time frame too well. But the main things I remember is they had like 3 different options of like their design style railing. That's like that huge railing that they need to put in. And the bridge overall is getting raised by like 4 or 5 feet or something like that, like a significant amount.
The
But-
bridge has to be a minimum of 20 something, and I forget, I think it's 23 or 24 feet in order, by demand of the railroad, because it goes over the railroad. So it'll have slope on each side to accommodate the raised, the bridge at the top, which has to go over the railroad tracks. And at the meeting at the church, what they commented on is that they are hopeful that they will get the grant that they have applied for so that they can get the bridge completed by 25 rather than the 27 if they have no funding.
Yes, yep, exactly. And the other, just to what Vita was saying, in addition to that higher railing standard, the railroad's requiring an extra 4 feet. So that'll be significant. And if you look at any of the diagrams online, that then requires some road work. I mean, I have my friend lives right on that intersection of Cedar Lake Road and Morgan, just into Bryn Mawr, and they'll be redoing that just entire intersection in kind of 1 or 2 houses down Morgan and down Cedar Lake Road. So there'll be some. I think they also said something about squaring up that intersection so it's safer. So
they're going to square Morgan into Cedar Lake Road.
Yeah.
Does anyone know if they'll be done with it, if they will be reopening that pedestrian bridge from Bryn Mawr Meadows? So at least there's a pedestrian crossing other than that bridge.
What pedestrian bridge?
In Bryn Mawr Meadows, there's the pedestrian bridge that they tore down and rebuilt another bridge.
The spiral bridge got torn down.
Yeah, I don't know the timing.
You mean at the way at the back?
Yeah.
No,
I don't know the timing of.
No, wait a second, Mackenzie. That bridge, once it's torn down, will be replaced by a completely different bridge.
Right, it's been rebuilt. It's just not open yet. Like I don't
Yeah,
know.
no, she's talking about the pedestrian bridge that goes from Bryn Mawr
bicycle bridge.
Yep,
it's
the far
the back
corner of. Yep, the far corner of the meadows, over to kind of, I don't know, the south end of Van White.
Van White.
I cannot speak to that. My understanding, I kind of associate that with the light rail station. So what I've been seeing at all the light rail stations is that they completely build they completely build it and then they just leave like the final piece out and board it off. So I hope that that's not true, because that would be great to use this summer. But yeah, sorry, don't know.
Thanks.
We'll have to check that one out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would probably be park. Would that be park board? Probably. Maybe a question for Elizabeth.
I'm not sure because as part of the original plan, There was parking, there were supposed to be a couple of parking lots at that end. And I don't know whether they're continuing using that plan or not.
You mean where the impound lot is or where the Bassett Creek?
On our
Valley
side,
stop?
in the meadows, so that
Oh.
more traffic comes in from Van
Oh.
White into the meadows rather than through the Morgan
Yeah.
into the meadows.
Well, the layout of the Bryn Mawr Meadows is pretty much done. So the parking does kind of go more into the park. I guess it's hard for me to imagine.
Few new parking lots in the meadows.
Yeah. I guess it's a little hard for me to imagine parking there and then walking across that bridge to the light rail stop. But
I actually never considered that, but I would assume some people might do that.
yeah, maybe.
Well, we'll invite the park board and see what they have to say about all of that.
That would be fantastic.
Before we hang up, I think there are a lot of, Dave, there are a lot of other issues that you want to raise and have ROC look at. From my perspective, I think we should have another meeting within a month. That would be the third Tuesday of May. What do you others think about that?
That sounds good to me.
I agree. I think we should.
I agree.
How do people feel about doing that in person?
Even
Yeah,
better.
I like it.
Where?
Well,
Love in person.
we built a brand new community room in Ernestine for the ROC.
Good.
So we should inaugurate that community room next month.
Then that's what we'll do.
Okay, sounds good.
I just have to figure out how to make it a hybrid meeting so anybody who can't make it to the meeting can also participate. But
can you set up the Zoom in that room so that they can?
I'm gonna try to figure that out.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just want to make a comment. There's going to be a meeting the end of this month about the redesign of Highway 55. And I talked to Nicole, who's the executive director at H&A, and they're assuming that most of the traffic that gets shifted off of Highway 55 will go to Interstate 394. And personally, I think given the volume of traffic already on 394, I think some of that traffic will actually go to Glenwood Avenue.
Yep.
And I'm somewhat concerned about how much of that will shift and what the impact will be on Glenwood.
And
And
we use that as an item of discussion at the next meeting.
I think that would be a good idea. And if we could get somebody from the Department of Transportation to speak to that, I think that would be a great idea. David, do you know anything about that particular project or not? Since you seem to know something about everything.
I don't know anything about that project.
One iteration
we have city staff participating in that project. You know, it's a MnDOT led project. There's a guy by the name of, there's a couple different MnDOT staff, so you tell me who to send an email to, I can get you in touch with them. I think it's best if you ask them to show up.
That's what I would like to do. If you can give me their names, I'll send the invitation out from ROC.
Okay, I'll send that to you, Vita.
And David, can you send me the address for Ernestine?
Yep, I will do that.
So that the invitation will tell them where to go. And that there's a small parking lot, if I'm remembering correctly, when I came to the groundbreaking. That's right there. Is there more parking than that little parking lot?
Yeah, we have a lot of parking.
Okay.
We built a bunch of structured parking into the building.
Okay,
There's also a bunch of parking on the street and a gravel parking lot across the street, and then
across the street is the one I
do. Yep.
Okay,
I have the date of the workshop about Highway 55 redevelopment. It's April 23rd. It was rescheduled after, I don't know, snowstorm or something. But April 20th.
It was the night of the snowstorm.
Yeah. So the rescheduled one is 4:30 on April 23rd at Summit OIC.
If you're planning on discussing that at the next ROC meeting, you may want to contact somebody at Our Streets that's been a big part of that. Our Streets.
I don't know that outfit.
Our Streets is probably the main organization that has been pushing the Bring Back 6 scenario and the work that's being done on Highway 55.
Can you send me the connections so that I can see if we can invite somebody from there as well?
Sure, I can email you that.
Please.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just the one thing I would suggest, Vita, is just, I mean, there are a lot of people involved in the Highway 55 project. We got people from Public Works and CPED at the city, but we have MnDOT leading it. We have Our Streets advocating for it, and Our Streets has been given a grant, and there's all kinds of stuff going on. And it's always, I sit on some of these meetings, and it's always a little unclear to me, you know, who is in charge of what. But I think if you're having people come to your meeting and you want to know about technical information about traffic, then just make that clear to Mike Samuelson at the MnDOT, who I'm going to send you, that, you know, so that they can bring the right people to talk about it. Certainly anybody from Our Streets can come and talk about what they want to do. So I'm not going to get into that, but if it's city or MnDOT, where, you know, if you just bring people and then we spring a traffic study on them, they might not be, just like me when I come here. I don't know everything that the city is doing. So I think it's just helpful if you want a broad overview, or do you want to talk about one specific technical question, just to let them know so they can make sure they have the right people at the meeting.
Thank you for the advice.
Anything else from anybody, or should we adjourn the meeting?
Yeah, I just kind of have like a technical question, just as far as like the rocket in general. This is the first time I've attended one of these events. I appreciate you guys, you know, giving the invite. H&A's involvement, like we don't have somebody, so there's a few of us that are, Mackenzie, myself, and Dan are all in H&A, and so obviously there's a few of us here. We don't have somebody right now that's like officially representing H&A as like a voice of the ROC. I think part of the concern is that there seems to be some misinformation of what the ROC is, or how it's being represented. And so I just want to make sure, like, I don't think that H&A wants to necessarily say that we're voting for something, or how, you know, because there doesn't seem to be any kind of bylaws or like what this group is exactly. And so I'm just trying to get some clarification on what it is exactly before H&A's name is put on top of something with the ROC. You know, so it's not just, you know, two people from the ROC are saying that this is what we're doing, and there may be other people not involved, or, you know, who are like the voting members of the organization, and what this consists of exactly. If that makes sense to you guys.
We don't have bylaws. What we have is the master plan that the city approved for the Bassett Creek Valley. They approved it at the same time as in the morning, they approved the Heritage Park master plan, and in the afternoon, they approved the Bassett Creek Valley master plan. And in that master plan, what it is that we're supposed to encourage development within the Bassett Creek Valley. In that master plan, the city approved members of the CAC, the Citizens Advisory, to continue to keep an eye on the master plan to encourage development according to that master plan. And that master plan is on the city's website. I don't think it's been erased. So that is the guiding principles of how ROC works. As far as membership goes, we were asked back when we were created by the city council, 4 members appointed by the Harrison Neighborhood Association, 4 members from Bryn Mawr Neighborhood Association, 2 members each for the city council members, 1 from the mayor, Dave Stacks,
Friends of Bassett Creek.
Friends of Bassett Creek. Railroad is supposed to be on there, but they've never come. Park Board is supposed to be on there, but it's been a long time since there was Park Board there. And I think I will ask Elizabeth Schaefer to appoint someone to come on a consistent basis. And who else is supposed to be?
I think there's business, isn't there business?
Oh, the businesses, absolutely. And 4 representatives from the business community. So that's the membership. These representatives are the people who will actually vote. And we're supposed to be an independent voice from the 2 neighborhood associations who have a vested interest to represent their neighborhoods. But we're representing this open space that's called the Bassett Creek Valley to make sure that it is something that this will enhance the city, something where as development occurs, it's a place where people are happy to live, people will raise families, and the stations, the light rail, both the green and the blue line, are supposed to take people to and from wherever it is that there are jobs available in the Twin Cities. So the only, as far as I know, the only bylaws is the master plan itself. What is it that the master plan has as a vision? And believe me, there were lots of public meetings. I think the largest was about 250 public meetings when the master plan was finally designed, written up, drawn, whatever you, and then presented to the city council.
Yeah, I'm familiar with all of that information, but I'm also familiar with that. There's no representation from the city, and I know they don't have obligation to have any representation for the ROC. And so, you know, as far as
Jim has been our member.
membership isn't necessarily what it used to be anymore, because the ROC's position as a task force type committee has ended. And so
no, it hasn't ended. I'm sorry. That is a misconception. I don't know, just because the city clerk says that to be a committee, and we're not a committee, we're a CAC. To be a committee, you have to have follow certain rules and this, that, and the other. And ROC decided, no, we would like to continue as a CAC. We will follow the master plan to ensure that what the city accepted is followed or adjusted to accommodate time changes. But no, we have never disbanded. I don't know where that came from.
Well, I guess I've seen emails from Katie Cushman's office, Jeremiah's office, and the mayor's office saying the same thing. And so my concern is that since those places have said that specifically, and like I said, H&A doesn't have that representation with the ROC right now either. I want us to be very careful as far as Harrison Neighborhood Association is concerned, that our voice is represented correctly, that, you know, when the ROC is going forward, whoever is representing the ROC is going forward to say things, that Harrison Neighborhood isn't necessarily included in that unless we specifically say that we are. So I just want to make that clear because there isn't like clear representation of who members are that are voting members. And so I just want to put that out there.
This is Chuck Sullivan. I think it's unfortunate to hear this kind of thing because from day one, the Harrison neighborhood, my brother had a building that, and we were a business in the Harrison neighborhood. They were active. We had active participation. We actually did things along Glenwood. We looked at a lot of things on Glenwood as an outgrowth of the Bassett Creek Valley Rock. And I'm hearing this. It's like the newcomers to this, the council members, etc., who were not participants in the early conversation, nor in that conversation which brought Ryan into this to act as to help with the master plan of the entire ROC and overlapped into the Heritage neighborhood. Those folks provided some money to Glenwood back in the oh God, it's so long ago, 2000. That and there was, we sort of have lost that input from Harrison neighborhood, and I don't think it sounds a little bit like the conversation is there's an exclusion, and I really think it's to the contrary, that there is a place that to pick up and bring into it all of Harrison neighborhood's involvement and to look at what all the work that's being done in the Bassett Creek Valley has impact on Glenwood and the rest of the Harrison neighborhood. So I'm hoping that from my side, I'm really not any longer a Bassett. I'm here as a guest, really, but with some historical context. The downside of this conversation sounds a little bit like there's a wall, and I think rather let's tear down that wall and find a way that we can link both sides to the needs and the goals. That's really, I think, the objective, and maybe take out what the mayor and whoever else has said, because it really is newcomers that really haven't been a participant from electeds as to all that was accomplished. I won't go with any more, but
I'm not trying to say that, you know, you guys haven't accomplished great things, and I do appreciate the invite, but I also don't think we can just disregard what the council members or the mayor said, regardless of how new they are. I just want everyone to know in this organization from our perspective, we want to be careful of what we're attaching our names to, since there isn't like specific things that are like, I don't know how many people in this organization or in this group of people can say, yes, this is what we want to do. You know, like what's a majority vote? Like there isn't a majority vote that I can grasp onto that says if 10 out of 20 of us say, you know, whatever. So that's my concern. I don't know who all these members are, because I know that there's people that aren't involved that were in the past. And so it's muddy right now. And so I just want to make sure that you guys understand where we're coming from H&A's perspective. We do want to be involved. We do appreciate, you know, listening to all this stuff, and like we do want to have that interaction. And, you know, we also invite you guys to be able to come to, you know, David or other developers to come to H&A to talk to us. I just want to make it clear that, like, since it's a little muddy who like the members are exactly at this point, regardless of what it was in the past, I just want that to be understood from our perspective.
Dustin, do you think it would help if H&A were to appoint 4 representatives from Harrison? They don't have to be on the board. They just have to be residents of Harrison. Don Austinson used to be a member, and he was on your board. Would it help to have H&A appoint 4 members so that you can continue to have a voice on this CAC?
Well, Vita, let me just jump in. This is Mackenzie.
Yeah.
The Harrison Neighborhood Association did actively decide a couple years ago to cut ties with ROC and not have anyone appointed any longer.
Wait a second, Mackenzie. This is the first I'm hearing this. I have never heard that. We never got anything from the ROC. Don Austinson continued to God, as a member, all the way, when did this happen? And what happened?
Well, there were several conversations a couple years ago. I believe this was, I know, fall 2021. I was a part of a few conversations. I don't believe Harrison Neighborhood Association asked anybody to stop attending, but they did decide to, they did clear up that they hadn't appointed, or that those people that may happen to live in Harrison were not acting on the neighborhood association's direction. And I just wanted to respond and say, I mean, the Harrison Neighborhood Association continues to do good work and continues to meet with developers, and is quite involved in the 55 work, and was very involved in open streets last summer. And so it's not at all that the Harrison Neighborhood Association is kind of abandoning this area or this work. It's just that they're choosing, or we're choosing, to meet with the city and developers and organizations directly.
So just to jump in as the third board member from Harrison, I think the reality is that the Bryn Mawr Neighborhood Association, the Harrison Neighborhood Association, has formal connections with the city. They're the agency that a developer who's working on a project would go to for letters of approval. The ROC, based on what we've heard from the city, is kind of an informal group of people who happen to be interested. There are no rules governing membership or voting. There's an informality to it that the two neighborhood organizations do not have, and that's a choice that was made when it was an offer to be a formal organization with the city. So I saw the emails flying around here saying that so and so and so and so are the Harrison Neighborhood Association representatives. I've been involved with the board for 2 years. I've never even heard those names mentioned before. So clearly they're not involved with the HNA any longer. So certainly they shouldn't be coming here and representing that they represent the views of the HNA. They can certainly participate as local residents if they're still local residents. I don't know where they live, or if they have businesses here or anything else. I think that's the message that we're really trying to say, is that if someone is representing that the ROC is representing official organizations in the neighborhood, they are not. We're happy to participate. I'm interested in what's going on in Bryn Mawr, Harrison, all up and down the valley. So as a local business owner, I'd like to be involved, but I'm not going to say I'm involved because I'm with Harrison. Is really the communication that we're trying to make, so that if someone is saying, hey, we got the ROC's approval and they voted on it, or said that they're in favor of a project or something going on, that doesn't mean that they don't need to go back to the Harrison Neighborhood Association or the Bryn Mawr Neighborhood Association to get an actual formal representative viewpoint. When we hear clearly that the city council members don't see us as being involved, the mayor's not seeing the ROC as an official agency, I'm super impressed that we have as many people from the government, the city here and attending the meeting. So that's great. Obviously there's connections, and that's important. David's here. So that's an active group of people who are interested in this, but we have to recognize the limits of what it is, and that the official organizations are still the official organizations that should be interacting with the city and speaking on behalf of their neighborhoods. If I paraphrasing what Dustin and Mackenzie have been trying to say, is we're not anti anything, but we're just kind of surprised by the assumption that there's a official delegation from HNA coming here to make official votes on anything. Hopefully I didn't muddle the waters worse, but
No, that's great. I thank you for summing that up. Well said.
Yeah, I guess to answer your question earlier, Vito, what would make us happy? I can't answer that myself. I would definitely have to have that conversation with the board. But I think that what would greatly help is if there was some type of governing rules that the ROC had that, were a little bit more, some kind of guideline that says like, here's the voting members, or, that type of thing, I guess, so. And if HNA is part of that voting member, then, that's something that we can definitely talk of and probably do, but I just can't answer that question right now. But I think the fact that there isn't any guidelines is what makes it a little muddy for us. And so I just want to make
Dustin, let me correct you. There are guidelines. It's the master plan that the city council approved. Jim, can you remember what year? Was it 2006 or 2007 that the city council approved the master plan? I can't remember.
2006 or 2007.
Was it 2007? Because I know, because Bryn Mawr had their master plan and it was the other year. So 2006 was Bryn Mawr's and 2007 is the master plan for the Bassett Creek Valley. And that is the guiding principles. Those are the bylaws. Those are what ROC was created to try to advocate for, and I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah, I understand that. I guess
yeah, but I'm saying, but just because the new city council members were not involved in how we came to be or what it is that we're trying to do, and they're throwing out 25 years of effort by the ROC. I'm just absolutely floored.
Well, yes, I don't want to floor anybody, but I want to say that if you remember about a year ago or so, I had Andrea and Casey Carl come out and speak to this issue, and yes, the ROC is a little bit different than just any old organization because the city council did ask that there be a ROC. We did something similar above the falls with the AFCAC to have a committee, but what the clerk's office has told us and what they've told the council members and what maybe it didn't get explained well at the ROC meeting where the clerk came, is that the city's processes have changed. We have a boards and commissions process, and if people want to be an official board or commission or organization, they have to follow all, and I'm not an expert on it, but all of those rules. For example, I used to be a member of the Northside Green Zone. I'm no longer allowed to do that because that's part of the rules. City staff aren't on those things. And so what Casey was saying is you guys can continue to operate as you do. And then that outline that you listed, Vita, about having memberships from businesses and Harrison and Bryn Mawr are good things, but you are not an official city organization under the boards and commissions. Does that mean that you don't matter or whatever? I mean, we have all kinds of organizations like Friends of the Mississippi River that meet and send us information. And what makes that information useful is the engagement that those groups have and the membership that those groups have and the experience that those groups have. It's not that they, just that they're, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I'm saying, that doesn't mean that we're throwing everything out the window and that you don't have value, but the neighborhood groups are the officially recognized. We send notice to them and everything like that for a developer. So like when David would come in for a project, he has to send a letter and notify the neighborhood group. And then if you want to be on that level, you have to be within the city process. Does that mean that we won't listen to anything that you have to say, or does that mean that the planning commission will throw that out? No, because they take letters and input from all kinds of organizations and groups. So, but I would say that as hard as this might be to hear, that is the process has changed. The city has a boards and commissions, and if you want to be an official city board or organization, you have to go into that process. And just so the people who are from Harrison otherwise don't know, because I know Nicole and others have asked me about this. Why am I here? Andrea Brennan, who used to be the previous director, and Eric Hansen have decided that CPED should continue to go to these meetings. They're not that often. mainly because we own a lot of property in the valley and we have an adopted plan and we have this legacy direction from the city council. But it's not because there's some sort of official thing that the planning department or CPED is doing with this meeting. So I don't know if I made it any clearer, but I think I'm restating what other people have said. And that's why you saw those emails from Councilmember Cashman. I don't think that she was disregarding you or not liking you. I think she was asking the clerk for advice on what to do. And same thing with Councilmember Ellison. And that's why those emails from them look similar, because that's the direction from the clerk's office about where we are.
Jim, let me ask you a quick question then. Who is going to monitor that the master plan that was approved, or is the master plan no longer a guiding principle for the Bassett Creek Valley, half of which lies in Harrison and half of which lies in Bryn Mawr? So who then is going to monitor that the issues raised and the plans suggested in the master plan are carried out?
Well, so the Bassett Creek Valley plan is an adopted plan. Some of it was modified with the Van White Station Area Plan. You remember Beth and I came out here and talked with you about that, and that changed some of the land use and allowed things to, to have a little more flexibility. And then Minneapolis 2040 was adopted, and Minneapolis 2040 supersedes all the small area plans that were adopted throughout the city on a lot of things like land use. You can't have a separate land use plan. But when we did Minneapolis 2040, we looked at all of the approved plans and tried to match land use and so forth. So it is carrying forward that vision. And then there are other things like community development goals is what we're still trying to make sure that we're looking at. So when people talk about let's build a park, what are some other examples? Let's shrink the impound lot. Those are things that are community development goals that we know are important to the community. They're not gone. We can keep working on them, but you can't have a small area plan, because we do have some of them that say, nope, we're just single family, or nope, we're just this. The 2040, superseded all of that. So I don't know if I'm answering it, but who monitors that? Well, the city does that. So when somebody does a land use application, we're supposed to look at all of that and follow that. But as you can imagine, with 60 some former small area plans and a comprehensive plan and 88 neighborhood groups and everything else, it helps to have good citizen involvement monitoring that as well. I mean, that's where something like this group or Harrison or Bryn Mawr looking at it and saying, right? I mean, like the lift station, our plans say don't put the lift station, put the development at Fremont. That they say that, but am I sitting at a computer monitoring every land transaction that's going on or whatever? No. So when you guys saw that and brought it up to the city and we were able to raise it to the council, and that happens with other neighborhood groups and so forth, that's a good thing. So the city is ultimately responsible for making sure plans that we've adopted are implemented. But I think citizens groups, neighborhood groups, advocacy groups, all of those things help keep us honest and help us keep us informed. And so I think that's where your value is, if I'm making any sense.
Thank you.
Yeah, not to belabor the point at all. I'm not trying to disregard the value of the organization. Anything that can bring people together and talk about how to improve the neighborhood, I'm all about it. I wouldn't be on the Harrison Neighborhood Association board if I didn't think that way. And so maybe one thing that might be helpful, I guess I kind of mentioned, is knowing that the structure has slightly changed on who all the members included are, since city members aren't included anymore. Maybe we need to work up some other kind of new structure that says, okay, these are the people that are involved, starting today or whatever. I guess that's kind of the sticking point. And so I love being able to come to this and talk to you guys and hear things like this in the neighborhood. I appreciate it. I'm not trying to devalue what you guys have done in the past or what things are trying to happen in the future. I just wanted to try to make everybody understand where we're coming from and get on the same page as far as, what the voting power is when it comes time to send something off to the city and our name might be attached to it.
Can we just leave it at that for tonight and kind of process things for a month? And think about what all has been said here?
Third,
Any more comments or what do you think?
I would suggest that we sleep on it and talk to the city clerk. Talk to I'm trying to get the calendar so I can tell you what the third Tuesday.
I have it as Tuesday, the 21st of May for the third Tuesday.
21st, 21?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So the next May 21 at 6 at Ernestine, right?
1475 Curry. I'll send you the address.
Okay. And that'll be,
you'll tell us where to park?
yeah,
Absolutely.
he said there's lots of parking.
I'll send out a map for parking.
Thank you, David.
And we'll tell the Public Works not to enforce parking rules.
Wow. You can do that?
No, I wish.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, everybody. And I appreciate the
Thank
chance to
you.
speak.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good night.
Night.
Night.